Hey, what's up guys, it's B here and welcome to a new video. So in today's video guys, we'll be talking about meters. So why meters? Well, understanding these meters will help you get better at mixing and mastering because they are representing what you're listening to in a really precise way. Also, let's say you're working on headphones or you're working on like bad speakers, that should not stop you from making good music because with these meters you can take better decision. For example, you can know where you should place an EQ, where we can use a compressor or like pan left and right your sounds. And the greatest thing is these plugins are actually available for free, which is really cool. So let's get started. So let's start with the most basic meter, which is a levels meter or a dB meter. So you might think, why you have to explain this meter? It's really straightforward, you know. Well, if you're a beginner, I bet that you don't know that much about it. So this meter's unit is dBFS, which stands for decibels full scale, which is a unit to measure the amplitude in digital audio. So basically the maximum value in this scale, this unit is 0 dB. So you have to think about like 0 dB is 100%. And if you go above that 0 dB value, you're clipping. So basically clipping is like this. Let's say you have this sine wave and your computer sound card or audio interface or the file that you bounced your song to can generate values above this interval. So what it basically does, all the values about this interval will be transformed like this. So this sine wave got distorted, it's not a sine wave anymore. That's why clipping sound bad. And dBs are not linear. What I mean by that, let's say you have 1 kilogram and you add it to another 1 kilogram. You get 2 kilograms obviously, but that's not the same things with dBs. So if you have negative 6 dB and you add it to another negative 6 dB, you don't get negative 12 dB. And I'll be demonstrating that with the sine wave. So I have a sine wave here and I have another similar one. So you can see here, this one is peaking at around negative 12 and this one as well. Now you think if I add them up together, we will get negative 24, but that's wrong. We got negative 6. So now when you add effects or adjust the faders and you'll see changes here, you should be aware of that. Because if you see a plus 6 dB change, that means your sound is twice as loud, which means 200%. And if you see a 1 dB change, that means 10% more louder. Negative 1 dB means negative 10%, minus 10% less louder, 10% less louder. And negative 6 dB means 50% less louder. So you can have an idea about the changes that you're seeing in the dB meter. Now let's move to the spectrum analyzer, which represents the frequency loudness in bands. Basically, we have low frequencies in the left part of the spectrum and the high frequencies in the right part of the spectrum. So how you can use it? So let's say that you have a biased headphones, and by that I mean your headphones are boosting the bass and they can't represent the high frequencies. So basically they are telling you that your track needs more high frequencies, so you grab an EQ and boost the highs like that. But if you listen in another system, you'll notice that the high frequencies are masking the low frequencies. So you can prevent that by just loading Span, for example, which is a really great free plugin. You can load it in your master channel and you can analyze the frequencies, and you see, for example, if your headphones are telling you that you need more frequencies, high frequencies, and you can notice that here, basically you'll see the band, the high frequencies, it is less louder than the rest of the spectrum. So you can then grab an EQ and boost it, or do the same for the bass. For example, you can see if the bass is really boosted and you can't listen to it because your speakers can't represent low frequencies. You can just take another decision by seeing the analyzer. By the way, if you have Span, you can just hold control and you can listen to frequency bands like that. You can narrow or widen the band with your mouse wheel. And now let's see one of the most important meters, which is the vectorscope. Basically, the vectorscope represents the stereo image of our song, the difference between the left and right channel. So I have here Isotope Ozone Imager 2, which is a free plugin, and I think it's the best stereo image plugin. So here we have 3 different display modes. You have a polar level, we have polar sample, and we have a lissajou. Most of the stereo image plugins have this mode, so I am used to this mode also. So I'm going to take a sine wave here And you notice when I play it, you will see a straight line. So basically a straight line means that the left and right channel are playing the exact same sound, you know, in the same phase, with the same amplitude, with the same everything. So if I start to pan that sound a bit to the left, you can see that straight line has shifted like negative 45 degrees angle. And if I pan it to the right, you will see that plus 45 degrees angle. So what I'll do now is I'm going to enable the second oscillator, and I'll make it sine wave as well. Today is the day of sine waves. So now nothing's happening because both are playing at the same, they're playing the exact same sound, I mean. So let's start by reducing the randomness, because I wanted to start at the phase that I set it in. So if I change the phase to 100 degrees, by the way, the phase means where the waveforms start playing, you'll notice that vertical line has become a horizontal line. And that means that our left and right channels are totally different. So for example, if you play this sound in a mono system, you'll hear nothing because it's 100% stereo. So how we can use the vector scope? Basically, when you're mixing, you want to have elements centered in your song, which means playing a mono sound like your kick and bass, and you want your leads to play in the center and you widen them a bit, like left and right, because if you have here the vector scope correlation meter hovering at -1, that means your song will translate really bad in a mono system. Like if you have your leads really widen up in a stereo image, and you play that in a mono system like Bluetooth speakers, you'll not hear your leads at all. And also you want your low end to sound centered in the mono. So if I low pass this track like that, you can see that the graph is like a straight line, which means it's playing mostly in mono. And another great tool that you should be using is this plugin called Loudness Meter. Basically, this plugin is useful when you're mastering your song. So you can put this plugin in the last effect slot in your master channel when you're mastering. And when you want to make your track louder, you'll basically add a limiter, but you don't know how loud it is. So what you can do is you can download a track in a lossless format like WAV or AIFF, and run it through the plugin here, and you have to pay attention to this value here, which is the integrated LUFS. By the way, LUFS stands for loudness unit relative to full scale, which basically measures the loudness, and the true peak here, which shouldn't exceed like 0 dB because you'll be clipping. And with your limiter, you can match the loudness here to your track, so it sounds as loud as the reference track. Also, when you're mastering for streaming platforms like Spotify or SoundCloud or Beatport, here's a table that shows you how loud your track should be. And the last meter is, which is kind of a personal preference, is smexoscope. So smexoscope shows you the waveform of the input sound. So I have a hi-hat loop like that. And I can notice that there is transients in it and I want to suppress them. So basically what I can do, if you click like that, it displays you the level in the y-axis. So I can grab a compressor and set the threshold at -2 dBs, and yeah, I can get rid of these transients without affecting the waveform. And you can set smexoscope after the compressor to see what you are doing with that compressor, because you can't listen to these transients. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. If you have a suggestion or a question, just leave it in the comments, because I read all the comments. And please support my channel by subscribing so I can make more videos. And have a great day. Peace.